A single disease toxin is the cause of all illness and disease. What does that actually mean, and why is it so important? So a disease toxin will attach to the body. So it's a tangible object which causes an obstruction and can move through the three different levels, the gas, fluid and blood. So as the pattern progresses, the progression will move deeper into the body and create more serious signs and symptoms, like I explained. But if you use the example of a water obstruction, so when the surface is obstructed, when the water is cooled or contracted, it inhibits the movement of warm blood to the surface. So then you'll get aches and pains, stiffness and soreness, aversion to cold. When the water moves in through the head region, you can get dizziness or fogginess or cloudiness. When the water moves into the upper epigastrium, it can put pressure on the heart and cause palpitations, anxiety, insomnia. When you have water moving below that, and when the water's under the diaphragm, it means that the water's not warming and it's not moving into the large intestine. So cold fluids go to the bladder, warm fluids go to the colon, and then you can get bowel obstructions or dry hard stools, constipation. When the water is obstructed in the pelvis lower body, you can get infertility or a period pain, lower pelvic pain, diarrhea. So it means the fluid is contracted and congealing. But understanding where it is, you know exactly how you can undo this pattern, how you can actually identify it and use the correct formula structures to eliminate it and restore natural function. So when the surface warms, the aches and pains disappear. When the water moves, the head is clear again. When you disinhibit the water from underneath the diaphragm, you increase the urination and it'll take the pressure off the heart. The heart will slow down, so all the anxiety, the palpitations, the restless sleep will disappear. When you warm the fluids in the lower pelvis, then the water starts moving. When you warm the small intestine, the blood and fluids start warming and moving, and just signs of infertility or period pain, all that will just disappear. It's not a matter of using herbs to govern signs and symptoms. Like what is the difference between using herbs and Western medicine? If you're using it in that way or that method, you're just adding herbs according to a name or a sign. It's not a real understanding of what the pathomechanism is, like where the obstruction is, why am I prescribing this herb, and what natural function am I restoring. And if you don't get this understanding of what a disease toxin is and you're prescribing herbs, you're not only you're doing ill care to the people that you're prescribing herbs to. You're actually you're actually protecting the actual true obstruction. Like you are protecting the origin of that illness or disease, because when you start using herbs and prescribing herbs according to certain theories, you're not actually understanding the pathomechanism of where this actual obstruction is. And then this is where it becomes very complicated, because some people can get better for a short period of time, or some people can actually just get a little bit worse, or the herbs don't work, or they get a little bit better and then like 3 or 4 years later they get a lot worse because the story gets worse. So if you don't truly identify where this obstruction, this disease toxin is, the story gets worse because the body is manifesting this story, and if you're not listening properly, the story gets worse and worse, so the signs and symptoms get worse and worse. So it's very important to understand this concept so you can understand herbs and prescribe herbs accordingly and precisely at the right dosage and the relationship, and know exactly the outcome of what you're actually giving a patient. In TCM, naturopathy, any herbal medicine system where you're prescribing herbs according to a symptom, you're not actually understanding the root cause, the pathomechanism. It's kind of like a tree when it grows. It branches out into these signs and symptoms. And if you cut away a branch, a symptom like a headache or migraine, without understanding the cause, the true pathomechanism, it just grows back and it comes back somewhere else. Like signs and symptoms are a way for you to understand where this disease toxin is, and when you prescribe the correct formula structure and cut it away and eliminate it from the body, natural function is restored. And remember that I was a TCM practitioner for 10 years and I did study with the very best in the world, and it leads to a lot of frustrations. Like not only did I walk away, I did not want to come back to Chinese herbal medicine because I felt like it was just a hit and miss, and you were giving people herbs and hoping. Like it didn't have the framework or the structure that I always expected it to have. And when you can actually not only understand what a disease toxin is, you need the framework to identify it and know the exact prescription of herbs to use according to this disease toxin, because it has these very specific structures. And when you can identify them and prescribe the correct formula structure, the treatment outcomes are amazing. You'll see results again and again and again, and you can replicate these results. And this is why it's so important to understand, because herbal medicine, it's a science. It's a way to understand how the body is functioning and prescribing herbs to restore this natural function. It's a very systematic, evidence-based approach, and it's very important to understand. And I can promise when you can understand this framework, your clinic results will be so much better.